another example. This is an example of an integral with an absolute value. So it doesn't look very good. Let me see if I can fix that. So the integral itself, if it was just x squared minus 4, that would be pretty easy. We wouldn't need to do too much. But here we've got the absolute value. So what do you do with the absolute value? Well, you know, it's the same thing. You got to get rid of it. Right? But get rid of it, what does get rid of it mean? In this context, it doesn't mean what it used to mean back in, you know, whatever, high school algebra, right? So what is this function? Let's look at this function graphically, okay? Without the absolute value, if I just graph x squared minus 4, now let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? And it's going to do this, right? Right? So this is a parabola, move down. Now once I put in the absolute value, okay, the negative part is going to be flipped up. So this is going to be x squared minus 4. It's going to look like this, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Something like this, right? Your calculator can draw this. Or you can draw without your calculator. But what we want, and this probably goes up a little bit more like this. But what we want when we're looking here is then, we want this area here and this area here. Okay, so we kind of have to think about how I'm going to write this. How do I want to write it? I always want to write it, always when you've got this absolute value thing, you want to recognize that you are writing this as a piecewise defined function. So really, what I'm writing, I'm going to get rid of this one, is this absolute value of x squared minus 4. It's just the regular x squared minus 4 over here when the function is positive, right? So here the function is positive, less than negative 2, greater than 2, and between negative 2 and 2, it doesn't matter where the equals are, right? I want the negative. So it'll be negative x squared plus 4, right? I can figure this out from the graph like I did. I can also figure it out by taking the function x squared plus 4 and doing a sign chart, you know, finding where it's 0 and finding where it's positive and negative. And once you have those, you can just write this down. So you don't need to do it with the graph. I just thought it would be illustrating it nicely if we looked at the graph. Because now we're going to think about how we're going to use this to find that shaded area, right? So, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Because what we have now, this, and whenever you see an absolute value under an integral, it's exactly what you want to do. You want to write the absolute value as a piecewise defined function, right? And now I have different pieces, but I can break up my integral, right? So I can draw this. I know from 0 to 2, I can do it this way. Absolute value of x squared minus 4. And then I'm going to do it from 2 to 3, right? We know this is equivalent because of our properties of integral. But now that I have these two separate pieces, on these two separate pieces, this function is defined differently, right? And you can always do that with a piecewise defined function. If you're integrating a piecewise defined function, you can always do this. It doesn't even have to be a piecewise defined function that has an absolute value, and it just could be like some piecewise thing, okay? So anyway, then I go ahead and I can take this. We don't care about this part because that's not part of my integral there. I only care about this one and this one. From 0 to 2, I'm in this portion here. So let's just start here. So from 0 to 2, I get that negative bit. And then from 2 to 3, I get the positive bit. Right, and then I just go ahead and integrate. At this point, everything's easy, right? Because we know how to integrate this. Let's be careful, though, right? And then this is going to be x cubed over 3 minus 4x from 2 to 3. Okay? So this one gets evaluated with these limits. This part gets evaluated with these limits. And then we just plug and chug. Right? I'm going to have minus 8/3 plus 8 minus, see now I'm going to write it so we don't forget. And then I am going to have 27/3, 27/9, yes, thank you, minus, and then this is 8/3 minus 8. Okay, now look, does add up, huh? So what I have is negative 3 plus 8/3 60 minus 1. Right? So 16, 14, 13. Right, so what is this? 39 minus 16 is 23. Yeah, so I got 23/3. Okay, and that's my answer.